Let's do this. This one is going to be for you, by the way, Mr. AI. So here we go. Number 3, AI is here to stay. It is going to probably change everything, and the learning space is no exception. So I was wondering, what skills you think are more relevant for an ID to have regarding AI and its use in the learning space? William, what do you think?
Are we going to have a time limit on this question? Because I think I could go on.
This would be a long one. Yeah.
So, yeah, I 100% agree with that statement. And someone tweeted somewhere about, AI isn't going to replace us. People using AI are going to replace us. So we have to learn how to adapt these tools and technologies as well as we can, and we have to explore the limitations. We have to be curious, and we have to try to be creative. I think probably one of the best skills you can have is the skill set of a really good people manager. So if you ever had a boss who was really good at giving you feedback and guidance and advice, and if they could write a really good brief that just gave you the right amount of information that you needed to do your job efficiently, that skill set I think is going to be exceptionally important. Because when I'm thinking especially here when we're talking about ChatGPT or any of the language models that we'll be interacting with, if you are able to clearly articulate what you want, then you're going to have a massive head start. And if you can do it efficiently, and if you can get that result of what it gave you and iterate and figure out how to make it actually do what you wanted and not what you said, is going to be a really important thing. The other thing that I think is going to be really important, and I've been seeing it a lot, or I've been seeing like bad examples of this happening a lot, and that people are kind of ignoring the processes that we've crafted in the industry for forever now, right? So we shouldn't neglect the ADDIE process. We should augment the ADDIE process with ChatGPT. It's not going to mean that we don't have to do certain things. It just means we can do the things we used to do much faster, which means we can produce high quality content quicker than we maybe used to be able to do before. So what I'm very worried about is people saying, okay, well, I need to make a course, or let's say there's a training problem, so I'm going to make a course, without actually doing an analysis and figuring out if there actually needs to be a course. And if you build a course, make sure that you use your learning objectives to make sure that what you build is actually aligned with a goal. So for example, if you create a quiz, let's say you dump a bunch of content into ChatGPT and say, create 4 quiz questions for me. It'll create quiz questions, but that content could maybe have like information about the history of something, which is often completely pointless. There's no reason to include the history of something unless maybe it's a history course or something. That's one of my pet peeves. But if you give it a learning objective and then do your content dump and then say, write me 4 quiz questions based on this learning objective, you're going to get way better quiz questions. So these type of prompt engineering skills are going to be very, very important for us in the future. And then maybe my final point will be that we have to be very careful and cautious about how we use it. I think it's going to be easy to be reckless and start trusting it too much. But if we are, say, trusting ChatGPT with developing a compliance course, we shouldn't expect ChatGPT to be our subject matter expert. It's going to be misleading. So we have to treat everything it does with scrutiny. And I like to say, you give what you get what you give. So make sure you give reliable information, and maybe ask it to recontextualize that information or something like that. So that's going to be important. The other thing is, there are still a few court cases that might completely undermine your image library if you rely on images too much, right? So if I know Shutterstock is suing I think, is it Midjourney? So it's they not Shutterstock. It is, yeah, one of the image libraries are suing the one of the image generation AI tools.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so there's a risk that if you have used like extensively used this image AI tool to generate your images for your course, and that court case rules in favor of the stock image company, you might have to go back to all of the images you added, and you might have to go and take them out, replace them, or maybe you even have to go and pay the original AI, not AI, you might have to pay the original authors of the image. So my recommendation is proceed with caution, especially now when we are in this installation phase, where we're still like figuring it out, and we are, constantly going to be stepping on turds as we learn how to use these tools.
Yeah, that is interesting. So also, I'm literally Googling this in real time because I didn't know about this. It's Getty Images.
Yes, that's it.
To make sure that we don't.
And
get
if you look often in the news article for Getty Images or for this lawsuit, they have like this image that is generated by, I think it was OpenAI. No, not Open. It's generated by someone, and it literally has like a Getty image watermark at the bottom right-hand corner, because so many Getty images were used in the training data. So yeah, that's my my recommendation. Be very, very careful.
Fascinating. Yeah, because right now, so this is really interesting, is that Getty claims that Stability AI unlawfully scrapped millions of images from its site. The full suit is not public, and Stability AI said that it has yet received it. On the other hand, just a few days ago, Shutterstock announced it was expanding its relationship with Meta to use its data sets to develop, train, and evaluate its machine learning capabilities. So
that's a good partnership.
So yeah, so cool. Shutterstock seems to be, yes, let's go for AI, and Getty is like, no, how dare you? So that's fascinating. I didn't know that. I will link to the show notes if you want to read more about that, as I will be doing after this podcast episode. So that's super interesting, and definitely, to your point, William, lawsuits and or having things shut down because Italy banned ChatGPT outright. It was like, no, you're not doing this because of data privacy. Also, too, just for the love of all that is holy, don't update your private information in a ChatGPT.
Yes.
Like, don't. I don't know. I keep reading things of businesses being like, whoops, we put all of our financial data inside of here and now it's public. And it's like, wait, why? What do you? I mean, there was no good that was going to come out of that. So that's interesting.
Especially if it's, so you could be violating GDPR or
absolutely.
South Africa. There could be all kinds of, I think there's the California Data Protection Regulation or something like that. So all of these regulations, if you plug confidential client information into this tool, you could be violating the law.
For sure.
Which could get you in trouble.
For sure. And I can already picture it too, where let's say an instructor unknowingly takes all of like the student names from the classroom and like puts them in there, and it's just like, here's the submissions too, and it's just like, all right, well, every FERPA law is going up there being like, what are you doing? Like, so definitely please be safe with what you use with AI in the future. And we didn't share notes before this call talking about what actually we were going to say to each question, but like you, William, I said prompt engineering by far is the biggest thing. There are some job postings that are actually now up that you can see as far as there being an AI prompt engineer. That is now like a legitimate job. I only foresee that growing in the future, especially too for folks who are in this content creator space. That is going to be huge, because the more content you can create, the more effectively, then that's going to literally become a business model to be able to do that at a rapid rate. So I only foresee that coming into picture with everything so far. And there was one other thing that you mentioned too that made me think about trying to be able to think, which is going to be, how do you talk about AI? And that's kind of an interesting point, but it's more about if you're working within your organization and you're working with different stakeholders or whatnot, and you're going to definitely find that some people are either going to love it, to hate it, or they're kind of in the middle where like they're optimistic, but they don't really understand it. And you can definitely take this from my own personal experiences that now I've been talking more about AI online, and by far, some of the comments are like, this is awesome. This is fantastic. Other people are like, you're an idiot. What are you doing? Don't do that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it's like, all right. So some people have some love-hate relationship about ChatGPT and about AI and everything else in the future. And there's only going to be more tools that are going to keep on coming out. I can't keep up anymore. I wait for either you to ping me, William, about one thing you like, or someone else tags me on something and saying you should check this out. And that's the only way I can keep up nowadays. But overall, I think the prompt engineering is going to stay. Obviously, be very careful once again with the whole privacy stuff, and then making sure that you are able to actually talk about this and articulate what you're trying to be able to convey with AI in the right way, and to not step on toes and do things like that.
We also have a free self-paced EduFlow Academy course that you can sign up for if you want to learn more about generative AI, and we have a few bits of information about how they work, which is quite interesting. So we'll probably put down the show notes.
The link in the show notes. Everything's in the show notes. Just going to keep on throwing that down there. So awesome. I think we got that one. Are we good?
Yeah. I mean, we could keep going, but
easily.
It'll be like a 10-part podcast.
It really will, because the more and more I keep on diving in and playing around with different things online, the more I'm just like, there's just so much. There's so many capabilities. There's so many things, but trying to scale back here and make sure spending time wisely and not just signing up for every single blasted tool online, because my email is like exploding of being like, hey, your free trial's over. I'm like, no, it's fun to try it. Like, I'm all set. Yeah. So anyway, okay, let's move on